Hello friends, today our topics are perception and its impact on consumer behavior. In this class, we will look into the meaning of perception, the factors and components of perception, perception process, and of course the role of perception in consumer decision making. Perception is a psychological term and it may be defined as the process of understanding something. Perception is the process of understanding something, or to perceive means to understand or realize. When we see something or hear some sound or smell, we can understand what we see, hear, smell, etc. When your teacher enters your classroom, all of you realize that that is your teacher. This is the understanding. Some understand even more. When you see your teacher comes to your classroom, some students realize that that is your teacher and he is very happy today. And some others discover that he is very serious today. Different people have different levels of understanding. Everyone understands and interprets things in his own way. Anyway, these understanding mechanism or processes are called perception. Please look at the figure on the board. This figure is known as Rubin's vase, a world famous optical illusion used to explain perception. Rubin's vase. This is also known as Rubin's face or figure ground vase. This is a famous set of ambiguous or two-dimensional forms developed in around 1915 by the Danish psychologist Edgar Rubin. What do you see here, or what do you understand on seeing this picture? Is it a vase, a flower vase, or a pot, or two faces looking at each other? Some individuals see a vase or a pot because they attend to the black part of the image, while some individuals see two faces looking at each other because they concentrate on the white part of the image. What do you understand? I may ask another question. How do we understand the things around us? We understand them as we see it, or as we hear it, or experience it. In simple words, I will say, we understand this environment with our sense organs, our eyes, ears, skin, nose, tongue. All these sense organs help us in understanding. Through our eyes, we can see this world and understand it. Through our ears, we can hear this world and understand it. Through our nose, we can realize the smell. Through our tongue, we know the taste of food. And through our skin, we can touch the world around us. It is through our sense organs we are connected to the world. When our sense organs get some signals from an object, our brain realizes that we see this, we hear that, etc. When our sense organs get something, it is said that we sense something. Sense. When there is a sense, our sense organs receive signals from external object. Some of such signals can activate or energize our sense organs. This is called a sensation. When sense organs are activated or energized because of the signals from the external object, we call it sensation. For the purpose, our sense organs are connected to the brain with some nerves. And it is our brain that analyzes and understands what we see, hear, touch, etc. In psychology, these entire processes are included in the term perception. When you see the picture of Mahatma Gandhi, all of you can realize that it is the picture of Gandhiji. When you are shown the picture of Alfred Marshall or Abraham Maslow, how many of you can understand it correctly? What does this mean? To perceive something, some previous knowledge about the object is needed. We perceive things using our brain. Our brain processes the sensory inputs and concludes that it is this or that. To perceive it correctly, our brain should have some previous ideas about it. We get such ideas from our experiences, learning, intelligence, knowledge, etc. Everyone perceives things based on his own experiences, memories, and knowledge. In short, to perceive something, our brain should get some inputs through our sense organs. These sensory inputs are processed in the brain to form perception. Thus, perception is one's own explanation to the sensory inputs. Perception is purely the result of personal assessment of sensory inputs. And therefore, it may vary from person to person and may vary according to the person's memory power, knowledge level, awareness, experience, etc. It is because of this some perceive the above picture as a vase and some others as two faces. Some perceptions may be correct and some may be far from reality. Okay. Now, the components of perception. According to Professor Alan Sachs and Gary Jones, perception has three components. They are perceiver, object, and the situation. Perceiver, object, and situation. These are the three components of perception. Who is the perceiver here? Just look at the picture. We just analyze it. When you saw the picture, some of you thought it was a vase and some felt it as two faces. Anyway, there must be someone to perceive it as a vase or faces. That means a person is necessary to perceive something. This person is called perceiver. Perceiver is the one who perceives, who feels or observes and understands something. And to perceive, some data should reach at the perceiver. Our sense organs should get a sensation on getting such data. Or there must be some stimuli to create a sensation. From where this data or stimuli come? It comes from the object. What is object? Object is that from which stimuli arises, on which the perception is made. When you looked at the board, you saw the picture and you perceived it as a flower vase. Here, the picture is the object. Object is something or someone who is being perceived. This object is also called target. Thus, there must be a perceiver to perceive and there should be an object or target to be perceived. In the case of consumer perception, the perceiver is the consumer and the object may be the products offered by the marketer. In addition to perceiver and object, there is one more relevant factor in the perception. This third factor is the situation or condition of environment. In the process of perception, the situation plays an important role. Situation is the nature of surroundings, timing or condition of environment. We may perceive the same object differently in different situations. If your favorite person tells that you are very sweet and beautiful, you may perceive it as a sweet, lovely words and perceive the person as a sweet and loving. But when a person whom you do not like tells the same words, you may perceive it as dangerous and suspicious. Here, you perceive that the person is crooked. Why this happens? Perception gives meaning to stimuli based on the situation also. We can express the same words with different tones. Each tone has its own meaning. Here our brain evaluates the words along with its tone and situation. This is very important in understanding. You love red roses. However, you can perceive it as more beautiful and loving when that rose is given to you by your dearest lover. Perception changes according to the situation, according to our desires, attitudes, preferences, etc. Perception is also affected by our expectations, experiences, and knowledge. You can perceive the ice cream as tasty and sweety when you are happy, and the same may be perceived in different way when you are sad and unhappy. The emotion is also important in perception. Social and cultural factors also influence the way of perception. Persons are different in personality, characteristics, traits, etc. Some people have their own values and beliefs. Every such factor is important in perception. Thus, three components, the perceiver, the object, and the situation, are needed to perceive. When we make a study on consumer perception, all these three components are very much relevant. Who is the perceiver under consumer perception? Of course, it is the consumer. Consumer is the perceiver, and he perceives the object or target. Which is the target or object in consumer perception? The products offered by the marketers are the object here, or the strategies applied by the marketers are the object here. To get more sales, the consumers should perceive the products or strategies as useful, attractive, and price-worthy. You buy products only when you perceive the product as useful and price-worthy. That means the consumers need to perceive products in a favorable way. Okay. Situation is effectively used by marketers in marketing certain products. For example, in the advertisements of Kit Kat, they often use the caption, "Have a break, have a Kit Kat." You can enjoy Kit Kat whenever you get a break. The situation is used to market products. You might have noticed that separate dresses for different occasions like casual wear, party wear, wedding saree, etc. Here the marketers are making use of this situation effect of perception. Because of this, we believe that wedding saree is required to attend wedding, and we do not use casual dresses for wedding. When products are linked to situation, it can very easily be perceived suitable or favorable for that situation. You might have noticed the ice cream shops near tourist places. Whenever you are in a happy mood, you can enjoy ice cream also. Ice cream is presented as a situational product. This is why such products are often marketed at cinema halls, parks, and beaches. Marketers should develop strategies to exploit the strategic situations to increase market for the products. The products should be presented in an attractive manner also. The ambience of the shop is also important. Modern shops and sales outlets are designed in such a way to attract the customers easily. The situation, the ambience, the experience, everything can create a positive influence on perception. Now we can see perception process. Perception process is the way how the perception is created in our mind. In psychology, perception has three stages. These stages are selection, organization, and interpretation. Selection, organization, and interpretation. When we perceive something, in fact, we pass through these three stages. At first, we select the object, then organize it, and finally interpret as this or that. Everyone who perceives things passes through these three stages. We can see these stages one by one. Selection is a familiar term to us. We use this word in many situations. In employment interviews, many attend the interview and only one is selected. When you are in a textile shop, many dresses are shown to you, but you select only one. Selection. Selection is choosing one or few from many. That means our sense organs find many stimuli around, but they choose one or few for further processing. All other stimuli are ignored. When you travel, you see many people, but how many of them are remembered? You have seen almost all students of your college, but you remember only few. Why? We have selected only few and all others were evaded, avoided. We can see a lot of things around us. We can hear several sounds around us. But we evade or avoid most of them and select only one or very few to understand and perceive. Selection means choosing or considering or picking an object for perception. Perceptual selection refers to the process by which individuals focus their attention on certain stimuli in their environment. Selection is focusing our attention on one or few stimuli around us. How do we select objects for perception? Why don't you remember all faces you have seen on the way to college? To know this, we should know about the selection process. It is believed that selection takes place in three steps. These are exposure, sensation, and attention. Exposure, sensation, and attention. These are the steps in selection. Selection happens only when these three stages are successfully completed. The first stage is exposure. Exposure means to reveal or show something. Exposure is the introduction of an object before the perceiver. Exposure is the presentation of an object before the perceiver with a view to consider it for perception. When you enter into a textile shop, they show you many clothes and dresses. You can see all clothes there. Or in other words, all clothes are exposed there. This is for your consideration. Your sense organs get stimuli from all. This is the exposure stage. Under exposure stage, many stimuli from many objects are reached to the perceiver. Many objects are exposed to the perceiver. This is the exposure stage. Under exposure, all stimuli from all objects are available to our sense organs. Now, the second stage begins. It is an elimination round. Our sense organs do not accept all stimuli in the same way. If you are walking on the road, you can see a lot of people walking. However, you are not attending to them. But suddenly, you see a familiar face there. Then your eyes and brain arouse and begin to attend to that person. Your eyes got sensation. Sensation is the activation of sense organs. In the textile shop, all clothes are exposed, but your eyes are looking for blue jeans and a white shirt. Your sense organs will be active only when you see blue jeans there. This is sensation. Even though you have many friends in the college, your eyes will be wide open when you see your dear lover. Your ears will be vigilant when your lover speaks to you. Because our sense organs prefer something specially. When our sense organs are connected to such preferred objects, they will be more active, more energized, and more interested in such stimuli. This activation is termed as sensation. Mere exposure does not make any sensation. Sensation is created only when our sense organs find it as important and interesting. When you go through the newspaper, your eyes may get a sensation on seeing the advertisements of two-wheelers or mobile phones or some fashion dresses. Some sports lovers may get a sensation on reading sports news. Thus, after exposure, sensation takes place. The third and final stage in selection is attention. Under this stage, our sense organs begin to pay attention to the object which created sensation. When our eyes get stimuli from blue jeans and white shirt, our brain realizes the relevance of that stimuli and begins to attend. When you heard your beloved friend, you started attending. When we start attending, selection is over. As we could see, perceptual selection is the primary stage in the consumer perception process. To perceive better, a product should be found attractive and sensitive to our sensory organs. Then only we will attend or pay our attention to that stimuli. Our product should be capable of getting consumer attention. Product packaging, design, color, texture can evoke positive or negative sensory perceptions. Now we can move on to the second stage in the perception process, that is organization. In this organization stage, we start the processing of stimuli. Under the selection process, we selected and attended to some stimuli. And in this organization stage, we start the processing of stimuli. This is an intellectual process and our brain is doing this. Our memory, knowledge, intellectual abilities, experiences, etc. are used here to process the selected stimuli. This processing is called organization. However, I will say the organization is an initial processing only. The final processing takes place at the interpretation stage. Anyway, the organization is very important in making interpretations. If organization fails, the interpretation will be wrong. Therefore, we try to understand this organization very seriously. Organization is the way how the mind organizes or rearranges the selected objects, the selected stimuli. To interpret correctly, it is very important to arrange the data. I may express this with an example. Please look at the board. What do you see here? You can see some kitten and puppies here. 4 baby cats and 4 baby dogs. Instead of answering like this, you can also say 8 pet animals are seen on the board. But you prefer answering like 4 puppies and 4 kitten. When we see some pet animals, our mind automatically classifies them into puppies and kittens and count them in that way. Here in our example, our mind organizes the images into puppies and kittens before giving your conclusion. Our mind rearranges the image into a particular way to get a conclusion. This is organization. Now, what do you see on the board? Here we see 4 puppies, 4 kitten and 3 baby girls. How fast we classified these images into 3 categories. We classified them as kitten, puppies and babies. We do such classifications or grouping them within split of seconds, even without thinking much. This is the magic of perceptual organization. Here, the mind follows a type of grouping strategy. Mind very intelligently groups similar items into a particular group. Thus, it could easily analyze the objects. However, just do not think that our mind groups only similar things. Sometimes mind can group different things also. We may look at another example. You and your lover regularly send good morning messages through WhatsApp in every morning. Good night messages also. But you are not getting such messages from your lover for the last 3 or 4 days. At first, you thought that your lover may not be well, and you tried to contact over phone in the evening. No response. Sometimes you could see the lover online, but your messages are not seen and answered. 2 days after, you could see your lover in the college talking and laughing with some other friends. Now, what do you feel? What do you understand from this? What do you perceive out of this? Your mind starts processing the data. But how the processing works? Your mind collects all data from the very beginning. No reply to your messages, not even looking at them, even though in online, no reply to your phone call, and now talking with another. What do all this mean? Here your mind collects and groups all available data and tries to reach into a conclusion. Here the mind tries to group these things, different things happened in different situations in order to make an analysis. This is organization, perceptual organization. Mind can group and unify all related information to get a conclusion. Grouping is the strategy of mind to derive meaning out of our sensory inputs. Grouping is one of the techniques adopted by the mind in categorizing and organizing data to derive meaning to the available data. Some German psychologists have tried to explain this complex nature of mind. According to them, when several objects are present in the visual field, we tend to perceive them as organized into patterns of groupings. Such organization techniques of the mind were studied intensively by some German psychologists. These psychologists are known as Gestalt psychologists. Their findings are known as Gestalt School of Psychology. The Gestalt School of Psychology was found in Germany about 1912 by Max Wertheimer and his colleagues Kurt Kafka and Wolfgang Kohler. Findings of Gestalt psychologists are known as Gestalt principles or Gestalt laws of perceptual organization. Gestalt laws focus on how our minds organize and interpret visual data to derive at meaningful conclusions. Gestalt psychologists have developed 6 important principles of organization. They are the law of similarity, law of pregnance, law of proximity, law of continuity, law of closure, and law of common region. These laws are called Gestalt laws of organization or Gestalt principles of organization. The first law, it is the law of similarity. It says that mind can group similar items into a group and make conclusions. We could see this in the last example. When some cats and dogs were shown, our mind very intelligently grouped cats and dogs into separate groups and concluded that there are 4 dogs and 4 cats. Similar items are grouped together to get meaningful conclusions. Law of similarity says that our mind tends to group similar things together. Next is the law of pregnance. Pregnance is a German term. This is also known as law of simplicity. This law holds that when you are presented with a set of ambiguous or complex objects, your brain will make them appear as simple as possible. For example, just look at the border. When presented with the Olympic logo, you see overlapping circles rather than an assortment of curved connected lines. What do you see here? 5 circles? Actually, none of these complete a circle. Look at the black figure. This figures 2 separate parts, not a complete circle. 2 parts of circles are there in the case of yellow and green figures also. The blue and red figures are not complete circles. Still, our mind does not like to complicate things. Instead, it groups things and says that there are 5 circles here. By interpreting this as 5 circles, the mind concludes that it is the best conclusion about this figure. All other findings may make the whole things into a complex situation. When ambiguous stimuli are seen, mind has the tendency to simplify it and conclude it in the simplest way. This is the law of simplicity, law of pregnance. Next is the law of proximity. Proximity means nearness. What do you see now? There are 30 blue circles here on the board. In fact, there are 6 vertical lines of circles, 6 vertical set of circles. But the mind is interested to say that there are 3 groups of circles are there. 3 groups of circles. The first 2 lines are very close and next 2 lines are also seen very close. The last 2 lines are also seen very close to each other. Therefore, our mind very simply groups the first 2 lines into one set, next 2 lines into another set, and the last 2 lines into the third set. Thus, it concludes that there are 3 sets of circles. The Gestalt law of proximity states that objects or shapes that are close to one another appear to form groups. According to the law, things that are close together seem to be more related than things that are spaced farther apart. When the objects are close to each other, we group them together. What do you see now? A group of 9 people or 3 families? We may easily conclude that the left side image shows a family with 2 children, another family with 1 child, and at the right side there is 1 father and a child. Are you sure that these are the images of 3 families and the children shown in the image are the children of those couple near to them? It is our perception only. We don't know whether it is true or not. But it is the tendency of the mind to group the nearness items together and bundle them together. Many students usually complain about the teachers that the teachers make wrong perceptions on them as lovers when a boy and a girl talk very closely. Such perceptions are formed as per the law of proximity. Next is the law of continuity. Can you see this image like English letter M? We definitely know that this is the group of some blue circles, blue dots, but it looks like English letter M. Law of continuity applies here. When you see an image like this, our mind tries to start from the left bottom part of the image and draws an image ending at the right bottom part. The circles or dots in between are connected together with a view to get a clear shape of letter M. The left bottom circle is connected to the next one and it is connected to the next and so on till the last one. A continuous figure is drawn with the image. This is how our mind perceives things and reach to conclusions. Another law is the law of closure. According to the law of closure, we perceive elements as belonging to the same group if they seem to complete some entity. Our brains often ignore contradictory information and fill in gaps. In the image, you probably see the shape of a circle and a rectangle because your brain fills in the missing gaps to create a meaningful image. What do you see in the picture on right side here? This picture is of Gandhiji. This can be the example of law of closure. The principle of closure refers to the mind's tendency to see complete figures or forms even if a picture is incomplete, partially hidden by other objects, or if part of the information needed to make a complete picture in the mind is missing. All the missing information will be filled by the mind. This is the law of closure. You can see an elephant sitting in a box. only one side of the wooden panel is visible, still we think that it is a box or wall. Similarly, only head and front legs of elephant are visible, and we imagine that the remaining parts are there on the other side. If part of a shape is missing, people still tend to see the shape as completely enclosed and ignore the gaps. This reaction comes from the mind's natural tendency to recognize patterns that are familiar and thus fill in any information that may be missing. This is the law of closure. Next law is the law of common region. The Gestalt law of common region says that when elements are in the same closed region, we perceive them as belonging to the same group. Look at the image at the top. How many red dots are there? At extreme left and right, there is one dot each, and in the middle we can see two dots. Two blue circles are also there. The circles are right next to each other, so that the dot at the end of one circle is closer to the dot at the end of the neighboring circle. But despite how close these two dots are, we see the dots inside the circles as belonging together. We prefer saying that two dots are there in each circle. Here the law of proximity does not work properly. It is said that if there is a clearly defined boundary, it can overpower the law of proximity. The Gestalt laws of perceptual organization present a set of principles for understanding. It is important to remember that these are the shortcuts applied by the mind to get conclusions. To get conclusions, our mind tries to collect and organize as many stimuli as possible from all available sources and consolidate them to get a good conclusion. This is known as grouping in perception. Here the mind groups or combines or mixes all stimuli and process it to get an answer. This grouping is only one of the methods of organization. There is another method known as figure and ground. Just to remember the picture I showed you in the beginning. Some of you perceived it as a vase or pot. As far as such people are concerned, they concentrated on the black portion of the picture, and thus they felt that the vase or pot is the figure and the rest of the picture is the background. Background means the ground. The figure and ground. One is the figure and all the remaining parts are the background or ground. Similarly, some people perceived the picture as two faces. That means for them, they took the white portion as the figure and the rest of the picture is background. When you take the black portion as figure, you can see a pot and the white part becomes the ground. When you concentrate on white part, your figure will be two faces and the black part will be your ground. Therefore, this illusion is considered as figure-ground illusion. Consumers tend to perceive an object in the context in which it is shown. While organizing information, people have the tendency to keep certain phenomena in focus or as figure and the other phenomena as the background. This is said to be the working of the figure and ground principle. Please look at the picture on the board. What do you see? In both the pictures, if you concentrate on black portion, you can see the black figure. Then the white portion will be the background. If you take the white as a figure, the black will be the background. Your mind will give importance or prominence to something, and that will be your figure. The other areas which the mind considers as unimportant becomes the ground. Just imagine that a bird is sitting on a tree. If you focus on the bird as a figure or object, the tree and surroundings should be the background. In short, to perceive better, you need to focus on the object, and then it becomes the figure and the remaining parts become the ground or background. This figure and ground principle is very much relevant in marketing. Marketers present products along with suitable backgrounds. Then only it will be attractive. Do you prefer taking your food from a dirty and shabby hotel? No, never. If food is the object, the background is also important. If food is your figure or object, the cleanliness and ambience of hotel is the background. People prefer the rich ambience in a shopping mall rather than the dirty environment in a local shop. Therefore, when they shop, they prefer such places with attractive ambience. This ambience work as the background. Then only the products will be perceived better. So far we discussed the first two stages in the perceptual process, the selection and organization. Now the last stage of perception process, that is perceptual interpretation. In the selection stage, the perceiver selected some objects to perceive, and in the organization stage, the perceiver organized and rearranged the selected stimuli into a meaningful form. Now, in the third and final stage, the perceiver reaches to a conclusion and gets into a decision regarding on what he understands from the stimuli. Perceptual interpretation is the process by which individuals make sense of sensory information received from the environment. It involves assigning meaning to the sensory stimuli to form the understanding of the world around us. Perceptual interpretation can be defined as the cognitive processes through which individuals assign meaning to sensory information. It is believed that our mind usually follows top-down processing strategy in getting into a conclusion. It means that perceptual interpretation is done using our prior knowledge, expectations and contextual information to interpret sensory input. We interpret things based on our previous knowledge and experiences. Expectations are highly influential factor in the interpretation stage. People often interpret sensory information in line with their expectations and mental framework. Cultural and social factors play a significant role in shaping perceptual interpretation. Cultural background, norms, and shared experiences influence how individuals perceive and interpret stimuli. Similarly, emotional factors can shape how individuals interpret sensory input. Emotions can enhance or distort perception. Perceptual interpretation is dynamic and can be shaped by experience and learning. Individuals may adapt their interpretations based on feedback, changing circumstances, and new information. Perceptual interpretation often involves integrating information from multiple senses. The brain combines visual, auditory, and other sensory cues to create a more comprehensive perception of the environment. Variations in perceptual interpretation can occur among individuals due to differences in cognitive abilities, personality traits, and past experiences. Perceptual interpretation influences a wide range of activities, including problem solving, decision making, communication, and interaction with the environment. Now we can see how perception studies help the marketers in formulating their strategies. Consumers' perceptions of brands significantly impact their purchase decisions. Positive brand perceptions such as trustworthiness, quality, reliability can enhance brand loyalty and influence repeat purchases. On the other side, negative perception such as poor reputation or perceived inferiority can deter consumers from choosing certain brands. Consumers' perception of products, including their quality, features, and value, influence their purchase decisions. Positive product perceptions can lead to increased willingness to pay, while negative perceptions may result in product rejection or avoidance. Consumers' perception on pricing related to product value and quality influence their purchase decisions. The pricing strategies such as discounting, bundling, and psychological pricing aim to influence consumers' price perceptions and willingness to purchase. Consumers' perceptions of risk, including functional, financial, social, and psychological risks, influence their decision-making processes. High perceived risks can inhibit purchase intentions, while low perceived risks can encourage trial and adoption. Marketers address perceived risks through risk reduction strategies such as warranties, guarantee, and social proof. Consumers' perception of their overall shopping and consumption experiences significantly influence their satisfaction. Positive experiences, including excellent customer service, seamless transactions, and enjoyable shopping environments, they can enhance brand perceptions and drive repeat business. Consumer perception studies play a vital role in developing effective marketing strategies by providing valuable insights into how consumers perceive products, brands, pricing, advertising, and overall shopping experiences. Perception studies help marketers gain a deeper understanding of consumers' needs, preferences, and motivation. By analyzing consumers' perception of products, brands, and market offerings, marketers can identify key attributes and features that are important to consumers and prioritize them in product development and marketing efforts. Perception studies enable marketers to segment the market based on consumers' perceptual preferences and behavior. Another importance is in developing advertising and communication strategies. Perception studies provide insights into how consumers perceive advertising messages, brand elements, and communication channels. By understanding consumers' perceptions of advertising effectiveness, marketers can develop more engaging and persuasive advertising campaigns. In short, perception and consumer perception studies provide valuable insights to the marketers in developing marketing strategies across various dimensions, including product development, branding, pricing, advertising, segmentation, customer experience management, etc. Hope that the ideas and strategies discussed here will enhance your interests on perception studies and will help you to perceive better. We can meet again in the next class. Thank you.